Welcome back to Wandering into Wellness. Um, we have the man himself. It is most exciting to us. I think probably this is, for Lydia and myself, the biggest interview we'll have done, the most exciting interview. We've been talking about Bruce for years. We were reading his stuff for since long before we met each other. And one of the first, I think, one of the first authors that we shared our passion over was you and the biology of belief. So this is a big deal for us.
Well, I am so honored that you actually know this stuff. So right away, that's a good start.
That's humility for you. So talk to us. I think like when we first got involved in the sorts of notions that your books were expressing, this sense that the body is essentially responding to its climate, its environment, that essentially the programming that happens inside during our lives, our early parts of our lives, particularly, was what sets us up for the rest of our lives. Like, where did that concept come from, and how has that concept developed for you personally over time?
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, it was when I started doing research back in 1967, and I was cloning stem cells. And back then, there was just a handful of people in the whole world that even knew what a stem cell was. So I was given a great opportunity. I said, what was my work? I put one stem cell in the petri dish by itself. It divides every 10 hours. After a week, I've got 30,000 cells, but they all were genetically identical. So I split 30,000 cells into three petri dishes, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. And we grow cells in a fluid called culture medium. And since I make culture medium in the laboratory, I changed some of the chemistry of our conventional culture medium. And I fed each dish with a different culture medium, meaning a different environment. In one dish, the cells form muscle. Another dish, they form bone. And a third dish, they form fat cells. And the point was, well, what controlled the fate of the cell? And the answer, first of all, is they were all genetically identical when they started. So you can't say the genes were different in any sense. It was the environment. Okay. Mm-hmm. And this really clashed with what I was teaching in the medical school at the time. In the medical school, I was teaching the belief about genes control the character of our lives. Genes turn on and off, all that story. Well, if you understand that, as far as we know, we didn't pick the genes. If we don't like the character, we can't change the genes. And then we add that genes do this on and off by themselves. We were programming medical students, which were also programming the community with the belief that genes control the character of their lives, and you don't have control over the genes. So you become a victim of your heredity. What's running in your family, you're going to get it because you got the genes for it. The research I was doing on the stem cells, so wait a minute, it wasn't the genes that controlled this, it was the environment. And then I started to translate that into human biology. And the reality is the human is a skin-covered petri dish with 50 trillion cells in it. And it has the original culture medium, because culture medium is the laboratory version of blood. So I go, okay, wait, skin-covered dish, 50 trillion cells, original culture medium. It's the culture medium that controls the fate of the cells, but it's the chemistry. And I say, well, what controls the chemistry? The brain controls the chemistry. Okay, and then I go, yeah, but what chemistry should the brain use? I go, whatever picture you hold in your mind, the brain will take that picture and translate it into complementary chemistry. There's a chemistry of love, dopamine for pleasure, oxytocin, bonding, growth hormone, which gives you that vitality when you fall in love. But there's a different chemistry for all the other things, anger, okay, or stress. There's different chemistry in that. Fear has different chemistry. Fear releases stress hormones and things that affect the immune system. So all of a sudden it says, wait, the fate of the cell is controlled by the environment of the cell. The environment of the cell is controlled by the brain, which is then translating the picture. So if you change the picture in your mind, you change the chemistry, and then you change the genetics. And all of a sudden say, wait a minute, that's not being a victim, that's being a master. Because you're the one who has the thoughts. And if you change the thought, then you can change the chemistry and in turn change the biology. So it was completely, completely against what conventional teaching was all about. What is a gene? It's a blueprint to make the proteins of the body, 100,000 proteins, different ones like parts. And proteins wear out and you have to replace them. And they're very complex. So you need a blueprint to make them. The gene is a blueprint. Okay. Mm-hmm. I go, yeah. So now put that in perspective. I go, wait, what if you go to an architect's office and let's say she's working on a blueprint and you ask her, hey, is your blueprint on or off? He would look at you, are you crazy? There's no on and off to a blueprint. I go, aha, that's the point. Genes are not self-actualizing. And that means genes cannot control their activity. It's the architect that controls the blueprint. I go, yeah, but what's the architect? The mind. The mind generates a picture, and the body will turn that picture into a physicality. Okay, so all of a sudden it says, well, wait, then I'm not a victim. I go, no, you're the master. It's your consciousness that you have to recognize that is influencing your life. Mm-hmm. Now, it becomes critical. I always like to wake people up because we just did. Genes do not turn on and off. And so that ruins the whole picture that genes control your life. And I want to bring up another one because it's very important. There's no gene that causes cancer. Genes do not cause cancer. Genes are correlated with cancer. I say, yeah, but what caused the cancer? And the answer to that is the consciousness and the lifestyle and stresses of an individual. Yeah. Now, I want to bring it up because women are particularly affected because they're always concerned about the breast cancer gene. I say, what does that mean if you go to the doctor, you get diagnosed, you have the breast cancer gene? I say, what picture is in that woman's mind? I say, oh, it's a picture of having breast cancer. I go, well, there you go. That's the word of the game. Because once you have that picture, then the brain will make the chemistry to manifest that picture. And then recognize half the women with the breast cancer gene never get the breast cancer. So I said, wait, possession of the gene doesn't mean you get cancer. I go, no, not the possession. It's the lifestyle and consciousness. This is the most fundamental thing because people have been programmed to believe they're victims. I go, no, a complete opposite. We are masters of our genetics. And this is, it took 23 years after I did the research that revealed this before science recognized the science called epigenetics. Programming. Oh, now that's the next part. And and it's very critical. And so let's assess this. I say, where did the pictures come from in your mind? Where's your belief come from? I say your belief came from programs about what life is all about. I said, where'd you get the program? Well, let's back off one step and recognize this. The brain is not like a computer. The brain is a computer. And in the old days, we used to buy a computer and bring it home and you push start and it boots up. And then I say, okay, do something. And then you go, oh, I can't. I think I have a brand new computer. They say, no, first I have to put a program in, then I can use the computer. I go, exactly the same for the human. It's the first it's actually 3 months before you're born, through the first 7 years, the brain of a child is in a programmable state because it's in a state called theta, which is a vibration. But theta is hypnosis. I said, well, how does a child learn the programs? I go, all they have to do is watch the mother, the father, the community, and you're downloading the behavior, but not of your wishes and desires. You're downloading other people's behavior. Now, if they had a great life and they were living healthy and happy and loving and all that, then, hey, good luck, man. You got a good teacher. But what if there was a dysfunction? And I can say, well, I know that personally. Why? My mother and father had a dysfunctional relationship. But in my first 7 years, I'm programming by watching my father. So what do you think I downloaded? Dysfunctional relationship. I say, so where's the problem? The problem is this, and now here comes the crux of the problem. The mind controls the chemistry that the brain releases that controls the genes. And I say, the mind. Sounds like, oh, we got one mind. I go, aha, Problem number two, I say, what? There are two minds. One's called the conscious mind, one's called the subconscious. They're interdependent, they work together, but they have completely different functions. I say, what? The subconscious mind, the basic original brain, is a record playback device. It records behavior and downloads these behavior as programs, habits. Okay? So when you're downloading the behavior by watching other people, these are programs that are in the subconscious hard drive. Okay? Once you're age 7, you conscious mind kicks in. That's the creative mind. Subconscious habit, conscious creative. And with that creative imagination, that's why humans are so different than any lower organism, because we have imagination. And with imagination, we can manifest a reality. Okay? So I say, oh, great. My conscious mind is the creative mind that uses the keyboard on the computer. Okay? The hard drive, that's got the programs in it. Now comes the problem. And if anybody's out there listening, this is the problem. I go, what is it? The conscious mind can do two things. One, it can look out your eyes like the windshield of a vehicle in your body. Imagine your vehicle body that you're driving it around. When the conscious mind's in the driver's seat looking out the window, the creative mind will take you to creative wishes and desires. Okay? And I say, yeah, but the conscious mind can think. What does that mean? I go, when the conscious mind is thinking, it's not looking out, it's looking in, because the thought's on the inside. So all of a sudden they say, well, the moment you're thinking, then conscious mind's not looking out the window anymore. I said, well, what if you're driving the car and you're thinking, I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to get X and Y? I go, when you're driving the car and you're thinking, you're not looking out the windshield with your creative conscious mind. And everything just went off.
Oh, did you lose us?
Wait.
Oh, no, it's okay.
We're here.
You're right.
We're back.
Phew. The conscious mind is still here. It's still alive.
Okay.
Like that. Sorry to stop you in that flow.
With your conscious mind, you're driving to where you want to go. But if you start thinking about, well, I'm going to go to the store, I'm going to do this or that. Oh, I said, when you're thinking, then the conscious mind's not looking out the window, but you're still driving the car. I go, wow, you didn't hit anything. Everything seems to be going well. I go, yes, and here is the crux. I go, what is it? The subconscious programs are autopilot, meaning when the conscious mind's not paying attention, the programs are run from the subconscious and they're playing. I go, and here's another issue. When you are playing your subconscious programs, why are you playing them? Because you're not looking out, you're not paying attention, you're inside. So you're the only one that doesn't see the program that you're playing. Everybody else is responding to your behavior, which is coming from this program. Well, if you have a dysfunctional program like I had by observing my father, and I'm trying to hook up with somebody, and all of a sudden I start playing my father's program, then you can see why I didn't have a relationship for nearly 50 years, because that would just throw a monkey wrench into the game. So the point was, I'm playing programs when I'm thinking. And the programs didn't come from me, so they don't have my wishes and desires. They just have other people's behavior. And then comes the issue of, well, how much time are we thinking? Turns out 95% of the day. Then I say, well, then, are you creating your life with your conscious mind, or is it coming from the subconscious? The answer is clear. Your mind's only working 5%. 95% of your life came from the program. Well, if you have great programs, you've got no problem. But if you have dysfunctional programs, with 60% of our programs are dysfunctional, disempowering, self-sabotaging behaviors we downloaded. Well, if you're running 95% of your life from those programs, then you realize your life is not what you wish it to be, what you desire it to be. It's what the program is manifesting. And then all of a sudden I said, well, that's not your wish and desire. That's what you downloaded from other people. So you're not creating your life 95% of the day. And the behavior that's coming out, dysfunctional as it may be, you don't see it, but everybody else does. Yeah. They're responding to your program, not to you. Okay? So basically, You're not creating the life that you want and desire. You're creating the life you've been programmed to create.
Mm.
There is a program. It's
Yeah.
parent to child. And therefore, when a person expresses cancer, it wasn't because the genes had anything to do with it. It had because the program was passed. And programs are passed like genes, through the lineage. And when we didn't know that programming occurred, then anything that passed through the lineage, we said was genetic. I go, oh, it turns out that's totally wrong, 100% wrong. No, the programs are what we're manifesting. People don't know their basic programs. They were not conscious when the programs were coming in.
Mm.
That's an issue. How the hell I know what the programs are? And then I also have this great answer. And the answer is this: 95% of your life is coming from the program. Your life is a printout of your program. And then I say, well, look at your life and go like this. The things you like that come into your life, they come in because you have a program to acknowledge those things. But the things you desire, and you work hard, put effort, sweat over in it. I'm working hard. I'm going to make it happen. I go, why are you working so hard for that thing, destination or whatever? I go, because the program doesn't support it. So look at it and say, where are you struggling? I say, the struggle is not because you can't have it. The struggle is because your program is not offering it to you. And you're trying to override the program. I go, that doesn't work. Okay? To give a little insight here, and this is perfect, it's the movie The Matrix is not science fiction. The movie The Matrix is a documentary.
Mm-hmm.
What's the premise? Everybody's been programmed. I go, that's not a premise, that's a reality. Mm-hmm. I say, well, what else is there about it? Oh, you can take a red pill and you can get out of the program. And then I go, everybody out there, if they're about 20 years or older, has taken that red pill at least once, if not more. I said, what happened? Well, in the movie, when you take the red pill, you're out of the program. I said, well, what happens when a human is taking the red pill? I said, the main red pill is called falling in love. I go, what do you mean? Because when you're falling in love, you stop thinking. You stay present. You're staying mindful. I said, why? This person has just come into your life. You think it's time to disappear and go into your head. It's like, no, stay here now. So guess what? Your life is blah, 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 blah. You meet this person, you fall in love. 24 hours later, you have a different life. 24 hours later, you're beginning what's called the honeymoon. So what's the honeymoon? Heaven on earth. I go, oh, what a coincidence. I said, no, it's because science has recognized when you fall in love, you stay conscious. You don't divert your attention inwards. You keep it out, which means you stop playing the program. And the moment you stop playing the program, you began the creative thing called the honeymoon, which is heaven on earth. So I go, oh, wait, then heaven on earth is here all the time. It's the damn program. I go, aha, that's the point. Mm-hmm. We're not experiencing what we wish and desire because our programs are taking over 95%. And therefore, if you understand this, you can either do two things: stay conscious the whole time, which is very difficult in our very busy world without thinking. Try to do it, doesn't work. Or change the program. And you can change the program. But first you have to know the program. I say, well, you've been living it 95% of the day, so you can look at your life right now and say what you want to change, okay? If you understand this, then guess what? You can rewrite those programs. And if you rewrite those programs to do your wishes and desires as a program, then if you're thinking, guess what? You're still manifesting wishes and desires. And then the honeymoon doesn't end. And as I said, I was nearly 50 before I recognized I had to change my father's program I downloaded. I've now been with my partner, Margaret, 30 years, and 29 of those years right up to the current moment is living a heaven on earth honeymoon I like to say it this way, every stinking day, heaven on earth. And it becomes important to me is to have people understand this because they defer heaven on earth saying, well, if I just do good, when I die, I could go to heaven. I go, no, you missed it. You were born into heaven. This is where you came to create. But if your programs are 60% disempowering, self-sabotaging, negative beliefs, then you're creating the mess. And that you have been programmed to believe you're a victim. And that means you take no power over this and you just follow those programs to the end. And the idea is, yeah, but if you know this, knowledge is power. If you know this, you can then take that knowledge, rewrite the program, and then have heaven on earth every day of your life, whether you're thinking or thinking. Because when you're thinking, the program will take over. And if it's heaven on earth, you'll play it that way. And if you're not thinking, your conscious mind will create heaven on earth. And therefore, all of a sudden, the simple reality, which I like to emphasize, don't wait to die to think you're going to go to heaven. You're wasting your time if you're not living it here and now, right now. Okay? So this is a fundamental nature of the new biology.
Cool.
And the primary thing is the new science, epigenetics, because epigenetics says, no, genes don't control you. You control the genes. And then quantum physics is what? Everything is energy. Your thoughts are energy. And your thoughts interact with the energy of the world. And you're going to manifest your thoughts. If they're negative thoughts, I have the breast cancer gene, negative thought, then you can have breast cancer. And that's called the nature of thinking. And I go, guess what? There's positive thinking. I go, what is that? The placebo effect. I don't care what disease you have. If you can convince yourself a particular pill or a particular technology is going to heal you, if you can believe that, then you will heal yourself. But you don't tell somebody that, like the doctor says, oh, here's the pill that you've been looking for. They just created it. It will take care of your problem. And you say, oh, I want that pill. You take the pill and you get better. And then you find out, well, the pill's a sugar pill, placebo. Then the question, then what healed you? Your belief in the pill as positive belief. Everybody, oh, placebo, positive belief. I go, yeah. And then everybody goes, yeah. And I go, and you never talked about negative belief. I go, negative belief, equally powerful and control your life as a positive belief, but in the complete opposite direction. Placebo can heal you of any disease. Negative thinking, called nocebo, can cause any disease. And we've been blaming the genes for this. Well, it turns out genetics are responsible for less than 1% of disease on this planet. 99% of disease is consciousness and lifestyle. And if people understood that.
Yeah. Talk to us for a second just about a lot of what you're describing sounds a lot like what they were doing with like LSD therapy in the 60s and 70s for PTSD, for, where they did lots of studies with the US Army and all that. All the studies got kind of shut down, and the simplicity of therapy kind of really changed, I guess, when they removed that. They kind of began to move towards a more complicated way.
Okay, let me give you a reason. You ready? Powers to be do not want you to be powerful. They want to control you. You get controlled by the programming. You learn, oh, genes control my life. Oh, I'm a victim. Oh, cancer does that. Oh, I'm a victim. I'm not good at this. Oh, I have a bad gene, or whatever it was. Because of a simple reason. If people feel disempowered, they become victims. And I say, yeah, but if you're a victim, then you will pay somebody whatever it costs to get your power back at some point. Here's a simple truth. And I say it's a simple truth because it's published in two fundamental journals. One is called the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA. The other is the British Medical Journal. They both published what is the leading cause of death in our world. The first leading cause of death is cardiovascular disease. They both say this. The second leading cause of death is called cancer. And the third leading death is called iatrogenic illness. People go, what the hell is iatrogenic illness? Because I always like to say it, science is like the church. We put stuff in Latin, nobody knows what the hell we're talking about. Because if I define iatrogenic illness, it's illness as a result of medical treatment. Oh my God. Even they acknowledge it. I'm not just saying it. They acknowledge, the medical profession acknowledges they are the third leading cause of death. And the answer is because once they disempowered you, they figured, oh, we can fix you. And the pharmaceutical company are the evil monkeys behind the whole thing. Because, like in the US, 300,000 people die every year from prescription drugs. And less than 100,000 actually die from illegal drugs, or war and illegal drugs. What about the 300,000 dying from pharmaceuticals? And the answer is, cost of doing them. That's what they say. And so the issue is this. We have to rethink this thing really badly, because the medical profession, being the third leading cause of death, is a very dangerous thing in this world. And we put more and more money in, more money to the same damn people that are causing the problem. And the issue is, that's why we can't get out of the problem, because they're making too damn much money to keep us.
And it's like merger after merger, isn't it? You keep hearing about, like, what was it? The biggest merger in Germany ever was Bayer merging with Monsanto. So Monsanto producing the stuff that causes the disease, Bayer producing the medicine to fix the disease. It's just rife, and it's so strange. Like, why do you think that people haven't, more people? Why are we the people talking about this? Why is this not main evening news? What's going on?
Who owns the media?
The
media. Who do you think, when the COVID stuff was going on, every major news broadcast in the United States on every station was funded by Pfizer? Every news broadcast. I say, so why is that? Well, don't be crazy. If you have a business and you depend on the money coming from someplace, you don't damn the company that's giving you the money. So Pfizer never came up in the story because they give them money. and that, hey, 1% have the money, and they control how do you think they got the damn money? They got it from us. Okay, so NASA scientists have come to a scientific conclusion from their research, and this is really important. They have recognized that civilization that we're living in today is going to face an irreversible collapse within 20 years, and more likely 10. One of the main things that they say is contributing to this is the fact that 1% have the money and 99% are the slaves to support the 1%. And the slavery is getting worse, but especially for young people who can't get a decent job, who can never even aspire to buy the car that their father has. 3 of these cars, they have a bicycle. And the reason is because the jobs have taken away the money, and people are trying to survive. And that they have a job and say, oh, I still have a job. Well, I can't afford food, but I have a job. And they put up with it. And it's going to go. It's failing. It doesn't work anymore. And I'll give you the other fact. Today, the resources required for today's civilization, to get those resources to keep us just the way that it is today, requires 1.6 planet Earth for research. We only have one planet Earth, which means to get that extra 0.6, we are pillaging nature. We're destroying nature. And people don't recognize we are nature. Nature goes, we can't be here either. And so the idea is we have to turn this damn thing around. And it's great because the future bodes a much better future for young people. because the jobs now that are actually destroying the planet in the very near future will be jobs that enhance the planet. Things that take care of nature and create a better environment and all these things. That's the future, and that's what we're looking for. And
can I ask a question, Bruce?
Yes.
So, like, I'm listening to you, and I'm 100% on the same page. I agree with all the things you're saying. But also what you're saying is really scary. It's really overwhelming. And if people are listening to this and it's the first time that they're having that concept about the pharmaceutical companies and the governments and their beliefs, programming, how they are in their body, and we want them to get to a stage where they're feeling really positive about that and they're having these positive... How do we change that? What's the first step for them?
The first step is to recognize where the problem is so we can participate with the problem for. The biggest problem people have is the fear that they can't make it, that it's falling apart, that it won't work. I go, that's because the way we are living is the cause of the problem. So it says, the futurist Buckminster Fuller said, don't fight the system. Go outside, build a new system, and the people will go there. And this is what the destination is. What if we created the new civilization, which is necessary, which one that lives in harmony, one that lives in balance, one that lives in love, one that uses intelligence to help everybody form a community, because our destination is community. And this is really critical because so many people believe that the central governments, wherever they are, their government's going to take care of me. I go, they are not taking care of you. They are owned by corporate interests. They're taking care of corporations. So I say, well, I'm scared. I go, good. Now it means you're going to do something. I say, what? Let go of that system. Because those people that are holding on, I need this system. The system's going down. If you hold on, you're going to go down with it. What we have to do is form new community. Stop depending on a central source to be your savior. The only way you're going to save yourself is be in a community, because people will help each other. That's how community. And we're losing community. And just a little side, you ready? Mm-hmm. Focused on COVID and the death of people. Okay, there's two stories to that, but the one I want to bring up right now is this. You did not recognize that we as people only have power in a community. If you're alone, you have no power. COVID broke the community of the entire world. Mm-hmm. Sweden. Sweden's the only one that didn't give a damn about it, okay? Mm-hmm. All the other countries did what? Separate, don't talk to each other, keep away from each other. I said, what does that mean? Zero community. Zero power for the people. The whole show was run by a handful of people at the very top, okay? And the rest of the world were just powerless, Don't talk to each other. Don't go see your dying parent. Don't do these things that are like that. Don't, a friend, the young woman who worked for us was getting married. She had a big wedding plan. They had a small wedding in the backyard after all the plans. Why? Mm-hmm. Because they violated by having a small family come together because they were not supposed to be gathering. Okay. So what happened? They disempowered us for a reason. And the reason is this. When we started, I said, NASA scientists say this thing's going to collapse. And I say, it is going to collapse. And the point about it was the leaders, the power people, want to control this thing so it doesn't go into chaos and blow up. And so the COVID story is a story of control. They controlled the entire world, a handful of people, the entire world. Nobody had power.
Yeah. So you're in Dublin this weekend, which is very exciting. We're coming to see you on Sunday, which I'm very excited for.
Fabulous.
Tell us a tiny bit, a little nugget, just for those who are thinking about, who think there's a couple of tickets left for Friday, for tomorrow night, for Saturday night, and for Sunday. What are they going to experience?
Tomorrow night is a very special one, just related to genetics. to give the story of epigenetics, to give the story of how you can get personal empowerment back in spite of what you believe that genes control the life, by the science that shows that's not true. And so knowledge is power. Okay, got that? A lack of knowledge is a lack of power. Perception is a lack of knowledge. The misperception about genes is total disempowerment for people because they believe they're victims and have no control over this. So Saturday Night Show is basically the story of why we thought about genes as this and how come it's wrong and what's the new science, okay? On Sunday, it'll have some of that in there, but a whole story of the nature of who we really are. We're creators. The mind is programmable, which we talked about just now, stuff like that. Bringing all this and bringing up a very important fact, and that is spirituality is real. It's not. It's for most people, it's devotion. Oh, they told me it's real. Okay, it's real. I go, no, it's real because it's biological. I go, but why is it relevant? Because you can't die. You're not even in here. You're a broadcast picked up by receptors on the cells called self-receptors, receivers of self. The analogy I'll use is the body is like a television set with antennas called self-receptors. The self-receptors are picking up a broadcast. The broadcast is called a spirit or field in physics because that's the science part. I say, what's the point? If the television breaks, we say it's dead. I go, yeah, that's true. Did the broadcast die when the television broke? Aha. What's the point? You're the broadcaster, not the TV. And when people understand, everybody comes from the same band, like, radio band, FM band, AM band, human band. Each of us is a different station. No two people are receiving the same broadcast. Each of us has our own spiritual network station. Okay? When people understand this, the fear of death will disappear. And people don't realize the fear of death has affected you ever since you were an infant. And when you learn things die, you got to recognize it. First thing, you didn't even think about yourself dying. First thing, you thought about your parents dying. Oh my God, my parents died. And then later you realize, wait, I could die. And our lives are based on a fear. And this behavior is interfering with our ability to have a good life. Okay? And if people were not afraid and know that something called reincarnation is a part of physics, then all of a sudden it says, wait, I'm not afraid. And it's the fear, because only humans have the fear, because only humans know they're going to die. And it's so fundamental from the very beginning of your life. That fear of death inhibits you, and that fear keeps you from fully expressing yourself because you want to protect yourself, and that protection is actually interfering with your life.
Beautiful. What a point to finish on. I can't wait to see you on Sunday. I'm very excited. And thank you so much for taking so much time and really helping us and our viewers and our listeners to really understand a little bit more of what happens when you start to peek away at the surface of our programming and our biology. Thank you, Paul, for facilitating this. Really appreciate that. Positive Life, as ever, great supporters and fantastic magazine.
Thank you so very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.